Do recruit your life applications officer on my Cruise for Christ channel. Um, Today is Monday, the 18th. Um, I thought I had done a video on this, and I guess it either got lost somewhere, or I know I deleted one because I was so tired and so sleepy when I did it. I just, and I'm tired and sleepy right now, but I just got up from a nap, so. But I was looking over these people just just seconds ago, talking about these prosperity preachers again. And I want to continue where I left off about Alan Parr getting religious about uh, Cleflo. Um, and I'm speaking not only for them and the scrutiny and criticism, which some of it's good and true and right, and a lot of it's, being ignorant about other people's right to have their denomination. And there's a fine line. See, I did. No, that was a subject on abortion. Yeah, that was a subject on abortion. Um, but anyway, um, people don't understand. And I listen to people talk and they jump all over the place. Okay, and they understand the Bible. And if you're an atheist or you're someone that comes to my channel hating, this is over your head. So just leave. Seriously. You know what I mean? Don't come in here trying to throw something at me. Because I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Christians. This is the channel where I talk to Christians. Not talking to you haters. Talking to Christians. You have no idea what I'm talking about, so don't come in here pretending you know what I'm talking about and that you can sit here and criticize because you don't know what you're criticizing. This is within the family, so buzz off, okay, really. And if you don't buzz off, I'm going to delete you. Your comments will not be on this channel. I will destroy your comments. Talk about what I'm talking about or don't talk at all. If you know something about, and I'm not talking about religious hate. I'm talking about if you know something about what the Bible says about these things as a whole, that's fine, whether you're saved or not. But if you're someone in here just hating on Christians anyway, leave that for another channel. Leave that for another day. Leave that for a gloomy day. Right now, I'm on a series here, and I'm trying to put something on these channels that I've been neglecting for a while. Buzz off. If you're not about what I'm talking about, don't be here. Because I'm gonna just delete you and block you. The minute I see it. The minute any of my, subscribers or people that visit this channel that are Christians see it, it's gonna get deleted and it's gonna get blocked. Okay, I'm just letting you know that up front. Leave the nonsense for my nonsense channel. I have one channel that I deal with all the nonsense on. Take that over there. I'm talking to my people now. Talking to Christians. Not talking to you haters, you people of the devil. I'm not talking to you. Talking to Christians. Now, I don't think that people understand that or should I say what exactly the Bible says about prosperity. It doesn't say what the people are not saying. But it does say what a lot of the people that are being criticized are saying. These ministers that are getting up there and expecting people to pay tithes. There's nothing wrong, first of all, with encouraging your congregation to pay tithes. I could have sworn I did this video already. I feel like I did a video and uploaded it, and it got deleted some kind of way. I could have sworn I already talked about all this. And I remember saying that this should be, you know, on another channel or something. I could have sworn I already did this continuation video, but I guess I didn't. Maybe it was the one I deleted, but I don't think it was. Whatever. But the truth is, if you read the Bible, all these people that, I'm going to say it again, all these people that criticize the church because people preach prosperity. Let me break it down for you and see if I can do this in 20 minutes or less, okay? The church, and I don't think the world understands this, a minister, I did do this video, I could have sworn I did this. Anyway, maybe I'd said all this in the other video, but I could have sworn I did this video, but I'll do it. I believe I did it and it got deleted, but, and without telling me, somehow it didn't make the upload, but first of all, let's start with the Bible. The Bible, there's no such thing as a prosperity gospel, first of all. Now, these people that are criticizing these guys are calling it a prosperity gospel. You're right, there's no such thing as a prosperity gospel. The gospel's the gospel. It includes prosperity, but it's not a prosperity gospel, okay? Where they got that term from, God help me, I don't know. But I've heard Benny Hinn, Cleflo Dollar, I always have to when I get to his name because his name is really weird. Kenneth Copeland, okay? Joyce Meyer and all these different people, and I don't get into any of these people, okay? And you got to understand that these people like Joel Osteen and Joyce Meyer, people like that, they're coming from a different angle, and that's another thing that people have, like they don't like angles. You know what I'm saying? First of all, I don't see these people as preaching a prosperity gospel. I don't see it that way, but I could be wrong, okay? The Bible tells people to pay tithes. That's Bible. I pay tithes whenever I can. I need to pay them more consistently. Lord forgive me. Okay. The Bible also tells people to give. Now, in the New Testament, I will agree with some of these criticizers that in the New Testament, we really don't have to stress about tithes. We can just give. You know, the tithes were more of a Jewish thing. That was something that they did, okay, in their cultures. And there were more than just one tithe, like Cleflo Dollar said in his apology. There's more than one tithe, okay? But tithing was not only just about the Lord, but tithing was used as a way to manage money, to break your money down into different categories, to make sure that you're giving a fair percentage to everything that you have to, you know, give an account to financially, okay? That's tithing, okay? Now, in the New Testament, churches like the kind of church I go to, a Pentecostal church, and other like charismatic denominations and so forth, they believe that tithing is a good way to manage your money. They never said that you have to tithe, most of them anyway. Never said that you have to tithe because it's the commandment. The Lord demands that you tithe. They never said that the Lord demands that you give to my church. Okay? They never said that, as far as I know. But we say they said that because you're not listening. It is the job of the church. I could have sworn I did this video because what I'm about to say now, I just said it not too long ago. It is the desire of the church to teach tithing as well as giving, as well as saving money, as well as investing other ways. Now, it is the responsibility of the church to teach their people, not just for the sake of their own personal ministries, okay, but for the sake of their livelihood, their survival in this country, their survival as a husband or a father, as a businessman, whatever, to teach financial stability, to teach financial prosperity. It is the job of the church to teach this. Okay. Now, back to it. Running a church costs money. And the bigger the church, the bigger the money. If you run a church and you have to, you got more people paying tithes and offerings, you're going to have a preacher or a group of leaders in that church that are getting paid very well. Because why? Big business. These churches are involved in real estate. These churches are involved in retail. They have these big churches. These churches are involved in, what do you call it when you go out there and you do a service? They're involved in service to the communities that they are built in. These churches are involved in various things that send money out and collect money back in. And the pastor's not the only one getting paid. When a pastor becomes big, he's paying the musicians. He's paying, when I used to preach, my pastor, and I some of y'all that watch my channel know my pastor. My pastor used to pay me. And he still does pay people who get up there and minister. And I don't even have like a PhD or, but if I was to go to my church right now and do a sermon, the offering will go to me. Okay? He would let you know up front, there's an offering for the speaker. People liked me, so they put plenty of money in the box. And he didn't pass the plate. He just had a box there. There's an offering for the speaker, and there's an offering for the church. And a lot of people, like myself, our attitude is we give to both, or we just give to whatever is extra that day. Like if the pastor wants to get up there and talk about missions, okay, my money's going on missions. If we got a new guy coming in from out of the country into our country, he's preaching, he needs to get home safely, our money's going on the African dude, or the dude from the Bahamas or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And we're always giving. Because that's what we do. All you criticizers, you need to understand church people throwing money in offering plates and in boxes. It's what we do. And if you think that that's an offense, if you think that's wrong, then you need to take your rhetoric somewhere else. Because that's what we do. Also, the pastor is a business person. He is worthy of his hire. Read your daggone Bible. He is there to do a service. I could have sworn I did this video. My pastor retired early from his job to become a full-time pastor. He used to work 40 hours a week and still run the church. Do you realize people used to complain about that? That Pastor Carmen, you know what I mean, he's a greedy pig. He running the church. He's supposed to be doing the Lord's will. He working over at the steel mill because he don't want to lose that retirement money. He making that big bread, and then he going to come there and pastor the church. Are you putting any of that money in the church? Yes. And like I said in another video, I don't know where it disappeared to. Maybe it's in that Alan Parr video. I don't know. But my senior pastor, the pastor before him, the pastor that threw the mantle on Pastor Carmen, they used to buy him Cadillacs. He never bought his own Cadillac. He had about 2 or 3 Cadillacs within the many years that I knew him. It was the church that bought him the Cadillac. And I heard people criticize, look at him, he got a Cadillac. That's all they know how to do is sit there and collect money. They want me to serve a God that want my money like the government don't already want my money. But I'm on the inside. You're on the outside looking in. I'm on the inside looking out. I know how he got the Cadillac. He didn't buy the Cadillac. The tithes and offerings bought his Cadillac. But more importantly than the tithes and offerings was the giving to the pastor. Read your Bible. Read your Bible. The pastor is to be, even Paul had to put his foot down in the scriptures about, people giving to the ministry. And he said, a minister is worthy of his hire. So before we go to worrying about who got what kind of money and who got planes and jets and whatever, okay, understand this, that a pastor is not some dude who has to go into this church and figure out how his family is going to survive, okay, since he quit his job or he decided to do this for a living instead of a pastor is worthy of his hire. A pastor is a businessman. He's an entrepreneur. Okay? He's an entrepreneur. And when I send money to my church, sometimes I send a tithe, not because I have to pay tithes, but because I'm only giving 10%. So I'll call it a tithe because I'm giving. The Bible doesn't say you have to stop paying tithes because we're in the New Testament. It's just saying that we don't have the pressure of paying tithes anymore, is what Cleflo was trying to explain to you. We're not under pressure to pay tithes anymore because we're in the New Testament. But whether if you give 20%, you pay above what a tithe is. Because a tithe is 10%, right? So what's the big deal? Okay, it's all on how you describe things. Okay, I give 10% to this thing as a way of balancing it out, and I might give 20% to this over here on a good day. Okay, my pastor has done so many things for me over the years. And some of them were even loans that I never paid back. So whenever I send offering to my church, I send an offering for the pastor as well as money to support the church. Why? Because this is our we support our own properties, we support our own people, we support the people in this country that will prepare us for, that are preparing us for the second coming of Christ. For our counselors, our pastors, our shepherds, as the Bible calls them. We take care of them. And so if there's one thing that I'm going to do with my money, and the more money that I have, the more money I give. That's Bible. Okay? But the Bible is also prosperity spoken of. Okay? Because in the Bible, the writings of King Solomon, which is one of the most prominent people and scholars in the Bible, the king that was rich, he was full of money and wisdom. And this is the thing. Solomon told God, just give me wisdom. God gave him both riches and wisdom. But when you read Solomon's writings, you understand God didn't give Solomon riches just to make him rich. God gave Solomon riches because Solomon was educated enough to receive it. Solomon had wisdom and riches. Them two things go together. When I meet people like Robert Kiyosaki, when I listen to people like him, when I listen to people like Dave Ramsey, and I said this in a video where Greater Works Outreach, I never heard Pastor Gary Mitrick ask anybody for immediate money, to throw money. They said, if you want to support the church, see our people in the back, they have an envelope for you. You can put whatever dollar or whatever, you can put in whatever penny amount in that envelope. But he was making a lot of his money because he was bringing the vendors in who was teaching. He was teaching you, he was doing concerts, music concerts. He was doing, these people that were teaching nutrition, people that were teaching marriage counseling and divorce, people that were teaching about money, people that were teaching about parenting. And these people get paid. They are psychologists. They are therapists with PhDs. Wherever they go, they get paid. And they just happen to be Christians. So when they come to the church, they get paid. Everybody's getting paid when you start to do business in a church. My little tiny cardboard box church over there on Catalpa Street, I got paid. And I seen other people in the church, when I rip open that envelope, what's this? Whoa, there's over, whoa. And I only do this once in a blue moon. I'm not a pastor. But because I'm the president of the men's ministry, when I got up there to preach, I got paid. And everybody knows that. And there's people who like one minister over another. There's people who, have a heart for one over the other because one is struggling and the other one's not, okay? So they put their money in there. They throw that money in that box. And we didn't have poor people in this country church. The people that live there in the neighborhood, yeah, some of them were poor. But even they would put big money in those boxes. Okay? But we had people who were middle class Americans. And I don't know if it was Robert Kiyosaki or who it was that says there's no such thing as the middle class or the middle class was gone or whatever. I disagree. What makes you middle class is when you live wealthy from working for your money. That's what makes you middle class. Middle class people are living on the same side of the street as the doctors and the lawyers and the entrepreneurs and you know, the school teachers and the school board, police, you know what I mean, the chief, the commissioner. They're all on that side of the street with them. They make enough money to be over there with them. They make enough money to live on the same side of the street as these wealthy politicians. Because they got a job and they got a premium. They get paid a premium that they can do that. So these people don't really know anything about, you know, the kind of stuff that Robert Kiyosaki talks about. They never had to go that route. They've always worked and been paid well. I remember the Bugle family. I could have sworn I did this video. I remember the Bugle family. Okay, when I had my very, very first job, fresh out of Job Corps. My first job that had something to do with what I was trained in when I was in Job Corps. My very first electroplating job. The Bugle family were middle class Americans. They all worked. They got their clothes dirty. But they were all leaders also in the company. Every Bugle member, every Bugle family member was, you know, the leader of a part of the company. He was a supervisor of a part of the company. Instead of them having all these supervisors, you know, some of the lines, they had Bugle family members. They even brought the grandkids in there. I remember, you know, my ex-wife used to get mad because she thought that one of these Bugle guys, his daughter, was flirting with me. And I'm thinking, no, I don't think so. I think she's using me because she knows that she doesn't need to make this money to do this job. But she's over there sorting pieces and throwing them in a bucket. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? In her little outfit that ain't gonna get dirty. You know what I'm saying? And when that thing got heavy, she'd call me or another black man, or if there were no black men around, she'd call a white man to come over there and lift the bucket for her and move it and put a fresh bucket down. Because she figured as a lady, she shouldn't have to lift that heavy bucket. Okay, but she came here to work. But nevertheless, I'm there. If I'm not busy, I'll do it. There were times when I said, hold on, my rack's out of the oven, so I got to get them off the rack quick. Okay? So you got to wait, sweetheart, you know. And she got somebody else to lift the bucket for her, or she acted like she was struggling to get it over. She dragged it. She didn't pick it up. She dragged it. You know. And people are like that. You know, you ain't never had to work. You don't really have to work. But, you know, these Bugle people, they didn't spoil their kids that much. They made their kids go out and work because that's the way they were brought up. And they were all wealthy. They were all investors and collectors in the family business. They all made 30% of whatever they could, you know, get their part of the company to put on the table. They made 30% of whatever was earned. Okay? And they made salary. But that salary was 30% compared to other people that can do the same job. That salary was 30% of everything we earned. They had the biggest cut. Why? Because they're Bugles. They own the company. Okay, they own the company. And the oldest brother, he was a slim Jim, had no muscle, just an old fogey. He went around. He was the only one that got dressed up and took the people around and showed them what to do and what the company can do for them and all like that, and how to get involved and how to get their products and who to call, and they introduced them to everybody and all like that. Okay? He was the only one that did that. His name was Tom. He was the only one that did that. Okay? But like I said, prosperity is not distant or foreign to the Bible. The Bible is the best teaching on prosperity that exists. There are people that ain't even saved. They're not even Christians that benefit from reading the Bible and using the Bible as a way to get wealthy. They've done it. Okay? I'm not saying that Cliff is right or Benny Hinn is right, Joyce Meyer, she's right. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, though, that focus on what bothers me is these people that are on the outside. Like, there's Christians criticizing too, but not quite as stupid as these people that are on the outside looking in. Okay? If they're preaching something that's not Bible, yes, by all means, deal with it. But don't attack their money because, let's say they make a bad minister, but yet they run a church pretty well. And, I'm listening to them saying, like this video that I just got done watching just a few minutes ago. They kept saying they're robbing thousands and thousands of people out of money. Where are these people that they're robbing? Cleflo supposedly has been robbing thousands and thousands of people out of thousands and thousands of dollars. But when you look at his church, you look at the audience, they're excited to see him. They're still excited to talk about money. Did he really rob thousands and thousands of dollars from his own congregation? Does his congregation know anything about the Bible? Can they read the scriptures for themselves and see that, hey, I could pay the tithe, but I'd rather pay more? I don't feel pressured to pay tithes. Could his congregation look in his books and say, I don't know about that, I don't know if I agree with that, and still love him as their favorite pastor? I know I could, and I have. But I'm no Cleflo fan, I'm no Joyce Meyer fan, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, they're coming from a different angle. They're coming, like, I had a plumber friend, a guy who owned his own plumbing company. He was a good friend of mine. Matter of fact, he was one of the people that helped when I needed a loan. He invested money into the church for me to get a loan because I was, I needed a car. I needed the car for ministry. I needed the car to go to work. I needed the car for several reasons. I needed the car because my kids were young at that time. You know what I'm saying? I needed the car. They helped me get a car. He was one of the top investors that helped me get the car. He didn't want me to know, but I found out on my own who my investors were. Okay. But he invested money into the church to help me get a car, and I was supposed to pay that money back. But they were smart. They made sure that whether I pay that money back or not, okay, it does no damage to the church. They had a meeting about it. They did it in a way to where it would never damage the church. So, a lot of people like a lot of brothers I know that never had a decent job, never ever had to invest anything. They'll sit there and say, well, if it did no damage to the church, if they ain't suffering from it, I wouldn't worry about it. No. No. I might have some credit card debt, but I don't appreciate having church debt. Okay? Credit card people are sharks, and they're known to use interest, okay, and that APR garbage to rip people off. But the church doesn't do that to you. They loan you. You pay back what you borrowed, even if it's 100 years later. There's no interest. There's no APR. If you borrowed $1,000, you pay $1,000 back. I don't know any church, even maybe Cleflo Dollar's church, that would, if they loan you a loan, if they give you a loan, they're going to give you, they're going to say, oh, when you pay it back, it'll be a $2,000 loan instead of a $1,000 loan. What? They don't do that to you. But my pastor, has taught me some things about finances. I've yet to really utilize them, but he's taught me. But he didn't get up there, and I could have sworn it was a 50-minute video too. I could have sworn I did this video somewhere. My pastor is good at his finances. And he's always been good at his finances. When he was when he was working at the mill, he was one of the top investors in my senior pastor. And my black pastor, my senior pastor, the church used to buy him Cadillacs and all like that. He might have paid his rent from what the church was giving him, but the Cadillacs were free. They bought him those Cadillacs. They bought the Cadillacs for him, and then they would switch names and put the car in his name. And these were wealthy investors that were members of the church. Okay? A lot of people, on the outside looking in, they think it's all about the pastor having his own money. But no, it's more about the church having their own money. They blame it on the pastor. If Cleflo Dollar is rich, that means his church is rich. And he ain't the only one in church that's rich. He's the only one that's being investigated. Okay? Alright? But a lot of the stuff that we have in church, whether they be Cadillacs or planes or you know what I'm saying, even our homes and that, okay? A lot of it's all about investors that happen to be members of the church. It's not about, I ripped off thousands of dollars off of thousands of people. That's maybe here and there. Like I never seen Gary Mitrick ask anybody for, he never passed the plate when I went to his church. When I went to Greater Works Outreach, he never passed the plate. And but that church was wealthy not only because of the investors that were members of the church, but because of the vendors that were using the church for their ministries. Because like I said in some other video, whether it was the Alan Parr video or one that got misplaced somewhere that didn't upload, he only had church on Sunday. And sometimes that was cut short because of the vendors and their ministries. It was called a seminar church. And I asked people, they said this is a seminar church. But it was one of the best churches I ever went to because there's never a dull moment. It was just flowing with so much business at that time. And I remember the first time I ever wanted to even think or dream about being an entrepreneur came from Gary Mitrick's church, Greater Works Outreach, when he invited these vendors to come in there who taught us about financial stability. And they talked about business. They talked about turning a dollar into a full income. They showed you how to turn all your coins and dollar bills into wealth. They showed you how to, you know, flip that credit around for a better way of using credit. You know, they showed you how to do so many things. I think even Dave Ramsey might have been one of the people that showed up at that time back then. Dave Ramsey might have even been one of the people. I remember some very pious people was there. I might have met Dave Ramsey in person and don't remember when he was younger, you know, but you know, people pay tickets for some of these vendors. But these vendors also, you know, it was a deal, because a lot of dealing going on there, because they needed to travel from church to church and collect ticket money. So they invested something and they got something back immediately. You know, there's our percentage, there's their percentage. This is what the church is charging you. This is what you're charging the church. You know, it was a two-way street. You're giving the church something, and the church is giving you something. Okay? But I don't think the people that are criticizing these people understand the Bible. Because if they understood the Bible, and if their goal wasn't to be jealous of Christians making money. Nobody wants Christians to make money. Okay, the same reason why they didn't want Donald Trump in office, because he's a millionaire. Had nothing to do with Donald Trump doing anything before he got in office that was dangerous for the White House. It had all to do with the fact that because Donald Trump said things about he doesn't need to get paid for anything, he doesn't need lobbyists, he's got his own money. You know, all the money that gets poured into the White House, he uses it to get what he says he will do done. And I imagine he's using his own money for certain things, smaller things. But he's using the money in the White House to get things done instead of collecting that money. From what I heard just recently, that he said, and I didn't know he said it. I knew little bits and pieces, but not the whole thing. They're getting paid. The White House is being taken care of by the money that's pouring through it. And he's only being supported by money for his own protection when he's in the White House. But he's not taking anything home with him the way they're talking, okay? And that they hate him for it. They hate him for it. Because they see him as a dangerous person because of his attitude about that. But you know, in closing, prosperity is important for everybody. It's been important for the Christian. It's important for, you know, the family man. It's important for the businessman. It's important for the leaders of anything. And everybody is worthy. A father is worthy to receive glory. A mother is worthy to receive glory. And I mean financial glory. Financial peace. A pastor, definitely. All pastors have turned down careers and jobs to be pastors. okay? Like my pastor, they retired early, or they left college and went straight. And some people left Bible college and became pastors. They never worked a regular job in their life. It's always been their desire from the time they were leaders in a youth group and young at the same time. It's always been their desire to be a pastor. So when they went to college, they made sure they went to Bible college too. And they went straight from Bible college straight to the church and started pastoring their own church. Okay? Because it is business. And even though, like my pastor, Pastor Carmen, he doesn't really make more than what he made it his working for the steel mill. I mean, there's times when, especially when the church is busy with all kinds of things going in and out of the church, because we're not a big church. We don't have a church like Cleflo Dollar, okay? We're a small little country church, okay? But we do handle our business. Every church should have business, and we have a little bit, okay? And I think that his take-home pay, this is my personal belief. I don't investigate my pastor's finances like some idiots do, but and I remember my senior pastor, Pastor Spencer, a woman did that, and we had a meeting that she was invited to. I said, uh-oh. She left the church the very next day because she was so embarrassed. Because she said some things about our pastor, and she thought that nobody would ever snitch on her. And our pastor said, really? Let's all sit down. And he got all his documents out. Got a secretary out. They went over the church finances and all like that. She's another one, like people on the outside looking in, tried to accuse him of taking the church's money to buy Cadillacs. This woman looked behind her and said, woman, I bought that Cadillac. What you talking about? That's my Cadillac. Do I need to show you the receipts where I bought that Cadillac for him? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And she was so busted. She was so busted. She's like, well, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a financial consultant. That's what I do for a living. Just because I go to a church in the middle of the ghetto don't mean that I ain't got any money. I got a lot of money. I'm loaded. If I want to buy my pastor, I want to buy my shepherd a Cadillac, that's my prerogative. But people are too hard on the church. They don't understand that the church has a right to be wealthy. The church has a right to have people in it that are financially stable and financially free. The church has a right to run business, real estate. The bigger the church, the more rights they have to be a business welding church. If you're a mega church, just like, when I used to go to Greater Works Outreach, they had their own retail. They had their own Bible store, national Bible store within the church. But that money didn't come from the church alone. It came because of the type of services that the church was offering. They made money and they invested in their own Bible store. There were people that came to the church knocking on the door because the church is closing. There's a Bible store in there that they need to get to. Well, we're closed. Church was over at 9 o'clock. We're not going to open back up. We need to turn the computers off and everything. It'll take us 20 minutes to get set all back up just for you. You got to come back. You got to come back another day, man. They didn't come there to go to church. They came there to buy. But they had respect enough for the church that everything gets shut down when a church closes. They didn't like have people sitting there in the bookstore okay, when church was over, just so they could make that money. No. No church, no bookstore. You go to Monroeville. They're open till 9 o'clock. Go to this. There's other bookstores out there, but this one belongs to the church. It's on. This one is on the church property, so it closes when the church closes. But I just think people who criticize people like Cleflo and the many prosperity preachers, I agree with you as far as what is being preached, but I don't agree with you about the money part of it because it's not your business. And when you talk about, these ministers robbing people of thousands of dollars, let these people speak for themselves. That whole Gary Mitrick thing, there was never any resolution. I met one girl who claimed that she gave money to Gary Mitrick and her mama was wealthy. And I'm thinking, what do you need from Gary Mitrick that you ain't already got? She said, well, I just, yeah, he promised this, he promised that because he's reading that daggone Bible. And so you're not saved. So you don't know anything about the promises of the Bible. All you know is Gary Mitrick's mouth. And you want to use that to claim somebody owes you something when you come from a wealthy family. And now you got a wealthy husband. Okay? Gary Mitrick don't owe you SWAT, sweetheart. And he did not rob you, so who did he rob? Because you heard it in the news or something. That he robbed people. You left his church. You left his church because you never really were a part of his church to begin with. But I heard other things about Gary Mitrick that I'm like, hold up. If I ever see that, I will throw in the scrutiny. If I ever see that on paper, I will throw in the scrutiny and I'll tell Gary Mitrick to his face. Because back in the day, every single March for Jesus, I shook hands with Gary Mitrick. I went to his church for about 2 years. And I missed it when I had to move. My car broke down so I couldn't come out there anymore. And and I think Gary Mitrick is still alive today. And I think he has a spot on Cornerstone Television. But I believe that he has changed, somewhat. But, when you got like one out of every 500 pastors making Cleflo money or making Kenneth Copeland's money, I believe that these guys that get to that level, you're going to expect them to act a little weird because not everybody gets to that level. And I think that's the jealousy. But a lot of people on the outside looking in, you got to understand, they're looking at this like, well, if I was wealthy as a preacher, yeah, I'd be wealthy too. But that's not what it's about. Okay, it's about you get into this business, this is what happens. Wealth happens because you're now getting into business. The bigger the church, the more in the business you become. It's a business. And there's nothing wrong with that. Really not. You don't run a mega church and not receive money, invest money, own anything. You know what I'm saying? Negotiate, make business contributions. No, there's no such thing. You own a mega church, that's like owning a hospital. That's like owning a government office or something. You're going to bring in money and you're going to dish a lot of money out. Nobody talks about the money that comes out of these, the mayors and the government, the mayors and the magistrates and that ain't complaining about these guys. Okay? The police fund ain't complaining about these guys. Because these guys are investing a lot of money into the community. Because it's business. You know, they don't say, oh, let's invest all this money into the community to cover our tracks. No. They invest all this money into community because when you become business, big business, you owe more to the community. And people get jealous. It's not really that they're doing anything that really wrong, that really much wrong. They just, people are jealous. Then they think that a Christian, the last thing a Christian should make is money. Because money's power. And they already feel that we're bigots. What if we invest that money? What if we invest money in bigotry? You know, what's going to happen then? You know. But I am D-Word Cruz. I am your life applications officer. I just couldn't get it out the way I wanted to get it out because I could have sworn I already did this video. But God bless you. Thank you for watching.